What happens when we finally take our last breath? It's something that we've all wondered at some point. The idea of death, what it means, where we go, if anywhere at all. Despite our world being shaped by science and reason, there remains this enduring belief that life goes on in some form, beyond the physical realm. It's a topic that's fascinated humans for centuries, with religions, philosophers, and scientists all offering their interpretations of what occurs when we die. Today, let's explore what actually happens when we die, both from a biological standpoint and through the lens of what some might consider the mystical unknown. Are there more possibilities than we know? Let's dig deeper. The end of life, a scientific perspective. We all know the basics. When the heart stops and the brain ceases to function, that's it. No more thoughts, no more actions. But let's break it down. When you die, your heart stops beating. There's no more blood pumping through your veins, and the electrical activity in your brain halts. The body, once a complex machine, becomes still. But there's more to it than just this cessation of function. For example, some people who were brought back after clinical death report being aware of their surroundings. Could there be more happening than we realize? Some near-death experiences involve sensations of walking towards a light or even a sense of peace. While medical science has explanations for these phenomena, they certainly add another layer to the mystery of what happens when we die. What happens right after death? So, the body is no longer functioning, but what's going on with it in the minutes and hours after death? When the body ceases to operate, it doesn't just freeze in place. It goes through a series of changes. First, once the heart stops, the body begins to relax. And yes, even the sphincter, leading to a not-so-pleasant consequence. Everything that was in your digestive system is free to spill out. The food from your last meal, the drink you had hours ago, even the gases that were trapped inside you, they're all released. So yes, death can be messy, but that's just the start. And here's something most people don't know. After you die, your muscles start to contract. The muscles that control your bladder or even your sexual organs might function in the moments immediately after death. In very rare cases, women who are pregnant may even give birth after death, a phenomenon known as coffin birth. This happens because the gases building up in the abdomen push the fetus out after death. It's a strange and eerie process, but it's part of the way the body reacts when life leaves it. The biological breakdown. Your body starts to decompose. Once you're definitely gone, things get pretty undignified, but what do you care, right? The decomposition process begins almost immediately. Your blood, with no more force pushing it through the veins, starts to pool in the areas of your body closest to the ground. This is called livor mortis. It creates those dark purple spots you've seen in movies or documentaries. It's the body's way of showing that circulation has completely stopped. As blood no longer circulates, your body starts to cool down. This is called algor mortis, or simply the death chill. Your body will drop to room temperature, matching the surroundings. From here, the stiffening sets in rigor mortis. For about 2 to 6 hours after death, your muscles contract, causing your body to become rigid. It's a clear sign that the body is no longer operating, but the process of decomposition is just beginning. Decomposition. It's not pretty. The process of decomposition continues rapidly once the body is no longer being maintained by the circulatory or nervous system. One of the first things to happen is the skin. It begins to loosen and bubble up, and this is when the skin starts to create the illusion that your nails and hair are growing. But in reality, the skin is simply receding, giving that misleading impression of growth. Soon after, your body becomes bloated. Gases are being produced by the bacteria inside you, which are now feasting on the nutrients in your cells. This leads to the characteristic smell of death. One person described the smell as rotting flesh, a used toilet left out in the sun for a month, multiplied by 1,000. It's a smell so distinct, it's hard to imagine unless you've been close to it. And, of course, the process continues. After a day or two, the soft tissues of your body are liquefied by bacteria, leaving only your bones and some other harder tissues behind. What's left? Skeletons and soil. Eventually, what was once a human body will break down to just bones, which can take years to decompose depending on the conditions. If the body's been buried, it could take 8 to 12 years before all that remains is a skeleton. If it's been left above ground, decomposition is much faster, and within a month, it's a liquid mess, eaten by scavengers, insects, and microorganisms. The bones will linger, but even they don't last forever. After decades, perhaps even a century, the skeleton too will fade, slowly becoming part of the earth once more. But that's just the biological side. What happens to us beyond the physical realm? Where do we go, if anywhere at all? This is where things get speculative. Theories of what happens after death. Many people hold religious views about the afterlife. Christianity tells us we'll face judgment with heaven or hell awaiting us. Islam promises paradise or eternal damnation based on our deeds in life. But are those beliefs enough to answer the deepest questions we have about what happens after we die? There are other theories. Descartes, for example, argued that the soul was separate from the body and may live on after death. For some, this idea of the soul's immortality is comforting, suggesting that there's something more to our existence than just physicality. Then there's the concept of reincarnation, as taught by Buddhism. Reincarnation suggests that after we die, we're reborn into a new life, living through a never-ending cycle until we achieve enlightenment. Imagine living many lives, learning and evolving, and then ultimately achieving nirvana, freedom from this cycle of rebirth. Reincarnation and eternal recurrence. Friedrich Nietzsche proposed the idea of eternal recurrence, a philosophy suggesting that all of existence, including our lives, repeats forever. This concept means that you will live your life again and again and again for eternity. Every choice, every moment, every regret would replay endlessly. It's a heavy thought, but it could be a reality in some parallel version of life. Perhaps this resonates with some of us more than the idea of eternal punishment or reward. Maybe the cyclical nature of life is a reminder to live in such a way that we wouldn't mind experiencing our lives repeatedly. The final rest. Is death the end? What if death is truly the end? Some people claim that when they died, they experienced nothing, just a black void, no consciousness, no sense of self. If that's true, then maybe death is just like before we were born, nothingness, a return to the state of non-being. But then again, there are many who believe that the mind and soul live on, continuing their journey in ways we cannot fathom. Whether it's through reincarnation, eternal return, or being absorbed into the universe itself, there's no real answer, only theories. Perhaps the truth is, we'll never know until we experience it for ourselves. But until then, it's something worth contemplating, especially when we remember how short life really is. The future of life after death. Imagine a future where death isn't the end. Could technology offer us a way to cheat death? Some believe that advancements in AI and brain-computer interfaces could allow us to upload our consciousness, preserving our memories, thoughts, and experiences in a digital format. Could this be the ultimate form of immortality? Would it even be ethical? This kind of technology could change the way we view death entirely. If consciousness can be transferred into a machine or a virtual world, does that mean we never truly die? These questions will only become more pressing as technology advances, pushing the boundaries of what we understand about life and death. What do you believe? So, what happens when we die? We've explored some possibilities, but we still don't have a definitive answer. What's your perspective? Do you believe in an afterlife, reincarnation, or the concept of eternal return? Or do you think death is the final chapter and we simply cease to exist? Whatever you believe, one thing's for sure, death is an inevitable part of life, but it's still shrouded in mystery. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and remember, while we can't predict what happens next, we do have control over how we live today. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into life's most fascinating questions. Stay curious and remember, life's too short not to ask the big questions. Stay curious. Bye-bye.